Hi, welcome to the shop. I'm Mike, and I invented the NQALHA. The first prototype was constructed in April 2017. Development continued, and by January 2018, the 12th version was ready. 5 units were constructed for testing by expert glassworkers. Master glassworker Marcel Braun hosted a party at his shop, the Starship, in Eugene, Oregon. We called it the NQALHA Debutante Ball. Many expert glassworkers were invited, and a promotional video was shot. The machines were then loaned to several glassworkers for use in their shops. In the months that followed, the glassworkers learned to play this new instrument. Much like giving a guitar player a saxophone, the NQALHA takes time to learn, and there are no teachers. Along the way, video was shot as glassworkers figured out how to incorporate the NQALHA into their work. Not all testers were recorded, but a representative sample was. Almost 20 hours of video was shot. This video is an edited overview showing the range of glassworking operations that can be done on the NQALHA. I have no doubt that many other techniques will be invented as glassworkers learn to master this new tool. I'm here at Mothership Glass in Bellingham, Washington with Scott Deppy, and he's going to be doing some assembly on the NQALHA. The NQALHA holds the piece in place while he practices his hand position, prepares for the assembly, looks at it from different directions, and has the luxury to take his time because he's not holding the piece. The horn that he's attaching was carefully lapped to a mirror finish to ensure a perfect fit. Once he's practiced bracing his hand and is certain that he can assemble correctly, he begins heating. Because he has 2 hands free, he's able to use a hand torch. A hand torch is a particularly useful tool working with the NQALHA. Now that he has the piece attached, it's getting cold. And cold glass is not our friend. So as soon as he gets the bridge welded, it's off to the Bunsen. While it's reheating, he has the luxury to stand back, look at it, come up with an idea what he's going to do next, look at it from different directions. He doesn't have to hold it. The machine holds it. He can even start perfecting the weld while it's on the Bunsen. Little bit by little bit, He carefully perfects the weld using the hand torch. He can brace his hand against the bench, brace his hand against the NQALHA, and when he's done, return to the Bunsen to keep the piece hot. He can move the piece into any position that he needs in order to see better or to let gravity help him out. He's also free to balance against his body, use two hands to control the torch, and use the hand torch while the piece is over the Bunsen. Keep in mind that he's very relaxed while doing this and not getting tired by holding the piece in his hand. Even a relatively lightweight piece like this can become pretty annoying after hours of holding it up. Scott is an extremely meticulous perfectionist, and he spends hours making sure that every detail is correct. Because the machine is holding the weight, he's free to concentrate on the work that he's doing without getting tired. He can take as long as he wants in a relaxed way to make sure it meets his standard of perfection. Then when he's done, it's off to the Bunsen. Kai Beck was one of the first users of the NQALHA. Here he's making a prep for a Milli cane, using the machine to relieve some of the drudgery of the grunt work, melting in outer layers. He does the art by hand, but lets the machine make the job a little easier for him. Notice the chrome suit? The radiant heat of a large, solid object can be brutal, but the NQALHA doesn't die. It's designed to resist that. I'm here with Matt Dubois at his shop in Bend, Oregon. Matt has been one of our best testers, and many of the videos will feature his glasswork. In this scene, he's showing striping using the traditional method with a bench torch. It's also possible to do striping with a hand torch using the NQALHA to hold the workpiece, but he prefers to use the more traditional method. Just like Kai in the previous section, he's melting in outer layers. This is fairly tedious grunt work. Like a woodworker, using a belt sander, he's letting the machine do the work. He mostly watches, inspects, and occasionally touches with the paddle. If the piece gets off center, he uses the speed control to bring it back on. Matt uses the speed control a lot and finds it very useful. Not having to hold a heavy piece and spin it for hours frees the glassworker to concentrate on the art and the work that he's doing. Makes the whole process more pleasant. Notice that he has tilted the axis. He's trying to build up thickness. The blank that he started with wasn't quite the right diameter for the next step, and so he's using gravity to condense the piece down to increase diameter and reduce length. And he can take a break, walk away from the heat, think about what to do next. This piece will be pressed into a triangular shape using the prototype multi-axis squeezer. He's just about got enough heat in the piece. Doing the final heat by hand, the final centering by hand, and here goes the first ever use of the mini squeezer. The mini squeezer is another idea that I have under development. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. And sure enough, the test was a success. One of the questions that has been asked: how big a piece can the NQALHA handle? Well, Marcel has found the limit. He does big stuff, and that's about the biggest piece that's ever been done on the NQALHA. That's a lot of radiant heat, and once again, it doesn't kill the machine, because the machine is designed to survive that kind of radiant heat. It uses high-temperature wire inside steel conduit, and all of the ball bearings are metal shielded with no plastic anywhere near the flame. This demonstrates the extreme upper limit of large pieces that can be made on the NQALHA. Back again in Bend with Matt Dubois, making a Vac Stack. Carefully cleaning the rods, putting them into place. The outer tubing is 50 by 5, the inner tubing is 25.4 heavy wall. Now he's sealing up the end. Once again, the machine is doing the work. He's doing the artistry. He's doing the careful part. Not tiring himself out by turning and holding the weight of that fairly large piece. And even though you may think that it's small when you look at it, if you have to turn that piece by hand for hours, it doesn't seem so small anymore. Now he's starting the vacuum, making the final adjustment, and preparing to melt the assembly together. This process takes time, and it's nice to let the machine do most of the hard work while he concentrates on adjusting the flame, observing, occasionally correcting with the paddle, but mostly just watching what's going on. A fairly relaxing way to work with pieces like this. Because the machine is holding the piece, he can go get the Bunsen. He can take a break. He doesn't have to constantly spin. As he's approaching the far end of heating, he wants to keep the other end under control, so he attaches a hollow tube. An old school set of rollers, and the end is supported. Once again, the machine does the work, he does the minor adjustments, observes what's going on, keeps it all under control. Nearing the end now, everything looks uniform and well melted in. Now he's going to soak in some heat and get prepared to pull. Once again, the machine does all the work while he inspects, talks to me a little bit off camera. He's giving me a lesson while he's making these videos, so we're getting a bit of double duty coming here, and now he starts the pull. He's continuing to heat the piece and preparing to complete the pull. Now he rotates the NQALHA and moves off the table surface to be able to complete the pull, using a little bit of gravity assist. The NQALHA is also useful for coil potting. It has a control feature where very slow speed operation can be controlled using the foot pedal, combined with the proper heat and technique, of course. It's possible to make a very nice coil pot. In normal spin mode, the foot pedal controls pause and reverse. The NQALHA operates at constant speed, and when the pedal is pressed, it pauses. When the pedal is released, it reverses. In positioning mode, selected by the little toggle switch, the foot pedal is a start-stop pedal. If, for one reason or another, you're in the process of doing a coil pot and the rod just isn't quite hot enough and you just need to stop for a moment, just release the pedal, let the rod get hot, and continue. Looks like he has a pretty successful coil pot. Now he's going to put some clear on the end and start melting it in. Once again, the machine does the work. He does the fine adjustment and the inspection. He wants this to be a precise size, so he frequently checks it with the caliper as he melts the layers together and forms a really nice cylinder. Continuing to check, continuing to melt, working with a blow hose and a paddle, little bit by little, constantly checking. As he starts getting toward the end, he attaches a puntey and turns with the right hand, matching the synchronization of the machine. This is a bit like a drummer learning to play with a click track. With a bit of practice, it's not that hard. As he moves along the piece, he perfects it, a bit at a time, using a small, well-focused flame. And we have a nice, uniform, round cylinder ready for sleeving. Final dimensional check. Final surface rounding. Preheat the sleeve, which has been prepared ahead of time. And it's time for the vacuum sleeving operation. Fits perfectly. Little bit by little bit, precise flame, melting them together with right hand synchronization. And we reach the end. Final pull by hand after uniformly heating the piece. And a nice piece of tubing is created. In this segment, Matt's gonna make a water pipe. He's only making the body of the pipe. The internal components will be made by hand and assembled later. Early in the development of the NQALHA, some people wondered, is it usable for hollow work? It was obviously usable for things like Milli making and marble making, but people wondered, is it really possible to do precision hollow work on this machine? Well, I think Matt answers the question. He's getting his right-hand tube on center and starting to shape the rig, starting with the mouthpiece. Seems like he has no problem synchronizing. He can momentarily move the piece out of the way to concentrate on getting his torch right, then get back to work. Everything looks under control, on center, and synchronized. Of course, now it gives him a moment to walk away, find a tool, think about the next operation. Doing a little bit of tooling to perfect the shape. He's using the hand torch with oxygen only to cool the end that he wants to keep cold. This is an excellent demonstration showing that it's possible to control hot, hollow glass using the right hand manually synchronized with the NQALHA. And now he's on to the next section. This is one of the longer video segments, and I included it at this length to show how it's possible to precisely control a hollow piece with the NQALHA. He's making a fairly complex series of bubbles and pulls and Marias, keeping it all on center, keeping it all under control, keeping it all round, keeping the wall thickness uniform. And here's the result. Straight, round, on center, ready for the next steps, which will be done by hand. Continuing to work on hollow pieces, Matt is now going to demonstrate that it's possible to make a wine glass. This uses a synchronized right-hand punty and shows control of a thin wall bubble. Here comes the bubble. Nice. Round, on center. Now he's forming a little avolio at the end of the bubble, and this will serve as an attachment point for the stem in the next operation. He's carefully tooling the attachment point to prevent acute angles. And doing a nice clean hot pop. And now it's time to open up the end. Once again, when the machine is doing the mindless grunt work, he can stand back and relax and think for a moment, and then get back to shaping. Now he's going to start making the foot. This is going to be a combined foot and stem. He's centering up his right-hand puntee. Now that the stem detail is finished, he starts work on the bubble that will eventually turn into the foot. Now it's time for another hot pop. Which is done cleanly, and the end is cleaned up. Now, back into the NQALHA to spin out the foot. The NQALHA can spin glass really, really fast. And if you have the skill, you can make a perfect foot. You can use centrifugal force to your advantage. Of course, there's always the possibility of throwing hot glass in your face, so please be careful before using the high speed. Of course, Matt has it totally under control. Everything's on center, precise, ready to go. Notice how he's pointing. As we're doing the video, he's giving me a lesson and teaching me how to properly heat the bubble in preparation to spin the foot. He's putting a little heat into the backside before he starts working on the front. Once he has the heat right, he'll start working on the edge. And there it goes. Seems like magic when it works right. A few final adjustments, and the foot is ready to go. Now he's assembling the cup and foot. Using a grabber that seems almost custom made for the NQALHA. It's called a steel head, and it just happened by accident, and it just fits so perfectly. Looks like he has achieved a really clean on-center weld. And now he's going to do the final adjustment with the hand torch. He's looking carefully at the rim because when the glass is filled with liquid, he wants the rim and the surface of the liquid to appear perfectly parallel. And there it is. Passed inspection. Add a little bit of heat before the kiln. Show it to the camera. Nice job. And into the kiln. This is the tail end of a multi-step process. The piece is being held in the NQALHA while Matt gets a blob blistering hot, preheats the surface, and then blows a bubble into it to produce a hollow spout. Using the NQALHA as a holding fixture, he has two hands available. One hand holds the puntee that's attached to the spout, and the other hand holds a hand torch that he uses to perfect the shape. The NQALHA can be a very useful holding fixture, allowing the glassworker to rotate the piece into the perfect position to work with two hands. In this segment, Matt makes the body of a spoon pipe. Notice the control he has with the right-hand puntee, keeping that sloppy glass from going out of control. He's spinning a bit faster on the right hand in order to produce a decorative twist. This demonstrates that it's possible to control hot, sloppy glass using the NQALHA on one side and a practiced hand on the other side. Little bit by little bit, the details are added. Everything is staying on center. All is well. Notice the amount of control that's possible with tooling, the torch, the right hand, and the NQALHA. He has this one under control. Finish off the termination, and the spoon is ready for the next step. It'll be finished using traditional handwork techniques. It's round and on center. Marble making is another excellent application of the NQALHA. Much like Milli making, there's a lot of drudgery just simply melting large pieces of solid glass. Notice that he has the NQALHA tilted a little bit to use gravity to help with his gather and paddling as he prepares the surface. He's using the traditional method of drawing on the surface, using the bench torch, but it's also possible to use the NQALHA as a holding fixture, have two hands free, and use a hand torch and a stringer to draw your patterns on the surface. Now he's starting to melt in the dots. The NQALHA makes melting in work a little better. When doing it by hand, your hand is getting tired, there's a tendency to rush, there's a tendency to overheat and boil the dots. With the machine doing the work, you can concentrate on the glass work. You can concentrate on the heat. You can be a little slower and more relaxed, and avoid boiling your colored dots. Now he's using gravity as he starts the implosion, tilting the head downward, giving a little bit of gravitational assist. The machine does the work, allowing the glassworker to observe, adjust if necessary, follow the progress, make sure everything's under control, without getting tired from spinning. Marble making can be very tedious at times if you have to constantly be spinning for hours. It's nice to be able to just relax, stand back, watch the process happening, inspect, be vigilant, correct if necessary, but mostly just relax and watch it happen. As the implosion proceeds, he's moving the piece around to take advantage of heat and gravity to close up the end. He's balancing the outer temperature of the glass with the inner temperature to get the end to close up nicely. And it does. Increasing the speed of rotation works really well with a marble mold. In the final stages of shaping, very rapid rotation works well. And here we go. High-speed shaping. Works really well to get a nice smooth finish. The NQALHA can also be useful in the production shop, doing repetitive tasks like making a joint, using a joint tool. This can be done very quickly and efficiently. If a production shop is currently doing this operation on a lathe, the NQALHA can free up that lathe, allowing it to be used for the things that only a lathe can do. Quickly made. The blank for this twisty cane was made by hand. A little bit of it was done on the NQALHA, but mostly it was a hand striping operation on two halves of semicircular glass that were pressed together. In this segment, the NQALHA is used with the hand torch to pull out the twisty cane. The hand torch, right hand punty, and NQALHA combine together to make a superior twisty cane pulling machine. Seems like he could pull forever if his arms were just long enough. Effective, efficient, and the cane turned out really nice. In this segment, Matt pulls some points. All glassworkers know how to pull points, but Matt told me that if he had to break down this quantity of tube by hand, he'd have to take a break. The NQALHA helps him maintain production, relieves a little bit of the stress, and allows him to more efficiently and effectively pull these points. And now he rotates the NQALHA to use gravity and geometry to help him pull the final point. This concludes the video overview. I hope you've seen that the NQALHA can be useful in a wide variety of glassworking applications.